And we are live. Let me kill the other site, get the mic on there for Podbean, and we are live. Welcome, Dave in the AM, aka the Cornbread Man, your daily MAGA. And I'm looking, and I'm not any better tonight on Wi-Fi. I've even switched over to a different one, so we'll see if it holds. But I worked on the other one; it didn't work, so I switched to my backup, and it's a little better, not much. So I think it's just a crazy weather we're having. We're just not getting a good signal right now where I'm at, but it's been good for months. So anyway, it's good to be here. We're going to look at 10 stories that catch our eye. Some of them are well known, some maybe not as much, maybe all of them, but just some stories that we want to look at. Just pray for those around the world who are in a lot of bad situations right now as we see, weather and violence. We're going to talk a little bit about that. It's a violent world, and there are some rocking stories out there going on, and we'll see what happens with them. I'm still not sure where some of them are going to go. They always build you up. It's like the guy with the fishing rod and the money, almost, and it's what it feels like. It's like they get you all built up, and then it turns into a nothing burger, and I'm kind of sick of that. So I want to see people. I want to see the purple ops, and we'll see. Some of it's going to take a while to get that, but there's some of them needs to be behind bars, or at least be charged. It's a hot day again, and we're trying to work through the weather. We have weather. Weather's hot. Weather's cold. That's climate change. Cold, hot, cool, very cold, very hot. And the president's making moves to cancel out a lot of the green deals, and we're on board with that. This freebie money that's been floating around out here for companies, and without it, they're absolutely out of business. And the Obamas and the Bidens just gave out massive amounts of money around the world, including in America. And it's the president is bringing in billions of dollars, soon to be trillions, and that is amazing. And hopefully, that will soften things for the American taxpayer. Wages will go boom. Hey, Lewis, how you doing, buddy? Glad to see you. Or I guess see you. I guess we could say see you, even though we don't see you. Play on words, I guess. But hey, it's good to be here, and I'm going to go through these stories, and then we'll chat at the end. Hello, Dean. Appreciate the picture. That looks great. I'm glad you and Mom happy with that. Lewis, do you find a job yet? I'm just curious. We'll make sure you're good, man. Like, do we need to put out the call? What was that guy? The movie Dave. He got jobs for people. Everybody goes to work on Friday, or Monday or whatever it was. I don't remember now. They got him to play the president. That was pretty cool. Yeah, not yet. Still looking. I get it. It's tough in some cases. Some people think everybody out there is hiring. Not true. There are some people that are not. In fact, in some cases, hundreds have been let go on some jobs. I'm thankful to have a job. I was talking to a guy today. He's new hire, dealing with new hires at our plant. That's what I do. I'm a training manager, and I was working with one, and we was talking about job that he left, and he was excited to be there, and he's got some skill, got ready to move up, and just look to get in a better situation. So, yeah, Dean, we'll have to show that picture you sent me on the racing show, and okay, get back in Uber. Got you, man. They got you in now. They just pull you back in, Uber. So Uber Eats, or is it Uber delivery of humans? You were Uber Eats, right? Have you done which one? Have you done DoorDash? Like, is Uber Eats, DoorDash, are they about the same, or is one better than the other? Or, what do you think about that? I helped my son do some DoorDash. Yeah, Uber Eats. I helped my son do some DoorDash once. I used to ride with him. It was a chance for me and him to spend time together. And Lord knows I'm glad I took advantage of that, since he's going to be away for a while. Hello, Killer Carl. How are you doing, my friend? Blessings unto you and your family and your podcast and all the people associated with it. I just get ready to talk some stories, man. You heard DoorDash hourly, Lewis. Okay. Yeah, man. You're probably going live tonight in a bit. Thanks for stopping by, Carl. You're amazing, and we appreciate your friendship very, very much. Folks, give Killer Carl show on Rumble. That's why I told you to go to Rumble. All the best podcasters on Rumble, and there may be some out there. We'll be fair that they better get to Rumble. We were talking to some guys today about our podcast, and they were talking about cancellations and stuff that happened. Everybody hears about it. They go to Rumble, man. Be a part of the great family of rumblers. Rumbling. This like reminds me of the old football, rumbling, stumbling. And yeah, oh man, you're awesome, man. You know what? I learned from you, man. You got so many different things going on, and that's cool. And a band of brothers with you, and I like that. Just slaying it on the Rumble side, like he made the statement. I would have said it before he said it. I think he is the fastest growing show on Rumble, and that's not. I don't say it's easy to do, but he's got such a great show. They just flock in there, man. That is killer, and you've done that in really a very short amount of time. And he doesn't. He's not. What's the words I'm looking for? He's not compromised himself. I mean, that's. Some people for success, they compromise. That's what we have in Washington. A lot of people that compromise to get success. And hey, broski, I was pretty good, man. Actually, very busy though. Very busy. I was so ready to get home and podcast, and I've got so much going on. But that's good. I like it. It's a good kind of busy, man. It's a good kind of busy. Things going on with the podcast and trying to build some things up, get some things done. And there's never enough hours in the day. Yeah, man. And, that's what I say, man. You are speaking the truth, and the truth shall set you free if they'll listen. And what I like about Carl's show is, he's okay for the debate. Some host, if you don't play in their sandbox, they just, they'll shut you down, kick you out. I mean, at some point, you have to do it sometimes. I mean, just to rescue a show or something like that. If things get, because at the end of the day, it's on you. But he gives a wide range on that, and he lets those that have opinions speak those opinions. And I like that he has that stance. And if they don't agree, they don't agree, and that's fine. And he likes that, and that's where we get a great exchange of ideas. And I listen to all those, and I evaluate, and see what how I think about it. Sometimes it challenges me to think, where I'm at on something. And I do believe that there's been things that come out in your show that, maybe reevaluate a couple things, because it was just presented in a great way, in a truth way. And you're right, broski. If they do, and it's not easy to do. Sometimes it can seem aggressive because us dudes, man, when we disagree with one another, it can get hot, but dudes can do that, man. We can disagree and it get hot. Hey, I ain't gonna say you ain't never shut a show down. I mean, heck, we all have our line to cross. I'm not gonna say it's never happened at the Southern. I mean, I think there's probably been once it did. I think. I don't know. There's two of us here, so I'm not sure. You're absolutely right, sir. The founding fathers not always agree, but they came up with a perfect document through debate. And yeah, that was a knockdown, drag out fight. I mean, I'm guaranteed at certain points there were people saying, "I quit. I'm going home. You people are idiots, and we'll never get this done." And you know what? We got something to be proud of, and the rest of the world can stick it. That may not be good, proper Christian verbiage, but you know what? That's what I feel about it. They can stick it. I get tired of them cracking on America and about our values and everything. Yeah, look at what's happening in your countries around there. Look at what happened in every country around the world. Well, and some of that's happened here. Well, we got to close it down and kick it out. But we do have that bedrock document, and that can never be changed. People like Obama, and there's many others like him, they believe in this idea of a living constitution, which it changes with the times. Of course, you want to change it in your own image and what you think it ought to be so you can destroy it. No, it's a bedrock document. And yes, we've made some amendments and stuff, but that requires a lot of togetherness to do something like that. So that's we got to stand on that. Just like as a Christian, we stand on the Word of God, standing on the promises. We sing that in church, and we stand on the strength of that document. And we cannot let these jackleg, leftist, communist, da 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 people rip it up. And that's just it's like I live near a national battlefield. It's a great place, and there are people get mad because they can't do what they want there. Well, it's protected, and no, it's supposed to be a place of contemplation, research. It's a place where a lot of people died. So there's parts of it that are, very, very important. And, and you just don't let, everybody do whatever they want. Well, people say they ought to just knock it all down and build apartments or houses and stuff. And that's the stupid mentality of people. And no, you got to protect those things. And that's what the Constitution does. It protects us from ourselves, really. Honestly, it protects us from ourselves. And it really is. You know what? I don't want to stretch out too far here and people disagree, but that's okay. There had to be divine intervention in it. And as you go back and you look at, you're right, broski, as you go back and you look at how divided they were, it does seem in prayer and different things that they were doing. And some of them are not even believers. I mean, hey, it's pretty bad when the non-believers are saying we need to pray. That's how bad it was. The fact that they got there has to have a hand of divine help in there some way to soften hearts, to not to compromise, but to come together for the best and realize what we need to go for. And here we are, all these hundreds of years later, and it still speaks to our times. And that's what these people that want to change it, they say, oh, it doesn't represent our times. Oh, yes, it does. It absolutely. That document will be good 100,000 years from now, if there's still Earth here or whatever. It will speak to that time frame too, because it protects freedom. And this constitutional republic, which most Americans are ignorant of, they don't understand those things. And democracy. The left is always talking about democracy. The majority rules and da 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 da. How does some of these people? I mean, I really think that some of these people that gets elected, truly, and it's on both sides, but there's a lot on the left, they could not pass a basic civics test. Basic, like elementary school level civics test. And I wonder what some of them's IQ is. Some of them's IQ is, it can't be, they would probably be diagnosed if you could ever have them tested, because they're bat crap crazy. And they're just not smart, and they say things and they don't even know what they've said. They're absolutely nutso. And yes, we need to open back up the mental institutions, because there's a few in office right now that probably needs to be checked in, like a Hotel California, and not be able to check out. They're crazy. And these people are making major decisions for us every day on how we live our life. And yes, corruption does rule, unfortunately. And as I say, follow the money, follow the power, and you'll find those that are, they're neck deep in it. And so, absolutely. Well, let's talk about some news. And I just bounce around, and all of you are so educated, and you probably are up to speed on most of these. But I do like what some of the things that popped up and what we've seen. But over on the National Pulse, and I know you've seen this story because it's all over the internet. This Cincinnati City Council. I don't even know what kind of word to use here. I'm trying to keep it nice. That, with a statement, the white assault victims begged for that beatdown. And how is that representing your city when you say that about anybody, and you come up and you come from that type of mentality to say that thank you, Miss K, you're awesome. And I appreciate that. You too. He's awesome. I'm glad he bought it. And we didn't think it was for Dean, but I'm glad he bought you a shirt. He's a good boy. And he's not a boy, but you know what I mean. He's your boy. He'll always be your boy. And he's a good boy. But this council person is the problem we have in America. to get up and say something like that. And it goes back, Broski, it goes back to what you were saying. We do have a problem in our country, and it is getting worse. And I know that, that's been, we've had some debates on that in the show or in the chat. But it is bad and around the country in many areas. And, when you say something like that, you authenticate to these people that do stuff like that. Oh, it's okay. I did good. What, they had it coming to them. Yeah. See, even my council person, woman or whatever, agrees with me that they had it coming. I'm going to beat them down. And that's just, first of all, it's sick that they would do something like that. It's also predictable, sadly predictable, that they would make a statement like that. And that story's all over, and she's looking for her 15 minutes of fame. Well, you got it, and you made Cincinnati politics look bad, really, really bad. And I'm not saying that all of them believe that, but shame on you, absolutely shame on you. When you should be diffusing, you should be calling out, you should be investigating, you should be arresting some people for their actions and all that. That you actually come out and say that, you are putting your town in danger of a full out riot. And don't, and what's going to happen is you're going to get response. You're going to get a response. You don't like that response because people are not going to stand for that. And around the world and around the country, people are starting to fight back in ways, and this thing can get out of hand. It's like it's like the great actor said on the in the movie, on the aircraft carrier. This thing will get out of hand and in a hurry out there, something like that. And that's what can happen. It can get out of hand, and it can get out of hand in a hurry, and then we'll have mass chaos in the streets, and the violence will be on a scale that no police force and maybe even National Guard can handle. And calling that like that. And I know there's people that are still ticked off about the case, that the Breonna story and all. I get that. But you have a responsibility as an elected official to not do that. So, it's just ridiculous that people would say that. And so shame on her. That's all over the internet. It's not anything new, but it is all over the internet. Let's move to the next one. X, we're having some trouble with. This is Zero Hedge has a story, and of course we don't know the validity of it because it comes from Russian intelligence claims. But I wouldn't be shocked about it, because I actually said this months ago that the U.S. and UK in secret talks with Ukrainian officials to replace Zelensky. I would not be shocked at that. According to this piece, U.S. and British officials recently met with senior Ukrainian figures in an undisclosed alpine resort in Europe to discuss the possible replacement of President Vladimir Zelensky. The meeting allegedly included top Ukrainian officials such as Andrei Yermak, head of the presidential office, Kirill Budanov, head of Ukraine's military intelligence, and Valery Zaluzny, the former commander-in-chief now serving as Ukraine's ambassador to the UK. Given the high stature of these individuals, this is a massive claim, this piece says, and it could be that Russian intelligence is releasing such a report, even if unverified or possibly untrue, in order to sow discord, suspicion, and paranoia within the Ukrainian presidency office. I wouldn't discount that either. But some recent independent reports in the West have also pointed to a key former top general being groomed as a potential successor. We won't go through the whole article, but I said this a long time ago. Zelensky will never have peace with this guy in office. They will never. Putin is never going to agree to any kind of deal with that guy in place. It's never going to happen. It's going to be part of it. This guy's got to be removed. He's shut down elections. He's de facto a dictator now. And I'm not lifting up Putin, but Zelensky on the scale around the world is much lower in popularity than Putin in most cases, unfortunately. It just shows how bad he is. And people are sick of this guy. They're absolutely sick of this guy. And his own country has got to be. And Russia, there's a lot of patriotism for Putin. I mean, absolutely there's patriotism. I doubt you'd find much for Zelensky in his own country anymore. The early days of this hero, I don't need a ride or a lift. I need ammunition and all that. Them days is long, long gone. Zelensky is, he's just that little, elbows out kind of guy that everybody just, he walks in the room and you're like, God, I can't stand that guy. This is bad to say. I was at a concert years ago in Atlanta, and me and a friend of mine went to see this is the Eagles. It was the, Freeze's Over tour, after they'd come back after making that statement. It was a great show. We had really good seats, but there was this guy down there, and Dave was being bad. I admit it, but there was this guy. He looked like, I don't know, I called him Birdman. He had like these humongous, the guy has great seats, but he's got like these binoculars that are like obnoxious, like somebody would have, looking for birds out in the wilderness or something at great distances or something. And you was sad to see the guy. And I was talking to my buddy about it. I pointed it out to him, the guy, and my buddy said, "Oh, I can't stand people like that." I don't know what it was about this guy. He just looked like that. And there was a guy in front of us. I didn't know it. He was an off-duty police officer. He said, Hey, who y'all talking about? We said, that guy down there. And he turns and looks, I swear. He looked and he goes, "Oh, I can't stand guys like that." And it kind of went downhill from there. I'll stop there. That story probably should be shared. And I just remember that the officer said, off-duty officer, his wife was protesting actions, and his wife protested, and he said, "Honey," he said, "I can promise if anybody goes to jail tonight, it won't be me or these two guys with me. They're my friends." If that gives you any idea. So anyway, when Zelensky walks in a room, he has that power. It's a bad kind of power. It's like, oh God, you invited that guy to the party? Why'd you have to bring him? It's like when you bring the guy that nobody likes, but you're friends with him, and you find out you're going to a party, and you're like, it's supposed to be a secret, but you let it slip, and you're like, "Hey, I want to go. Can I go? I want to meet the guys. Can I go? Can I go? Can I go?" And well, maybe it'll be all right. You just, behave yourself. I did that once. I said, "Hey, he's with me," and the guy was like, "Okay, I don't know." He told the guy, I had it happen. The guy said, "Hey, the only reason you're here is because Dave. Dave did, if it wasn't for Dave, you wouldn't be in my house." And I was like, "Oh God, this is going downhill." And that's Zelensky when he walks in a room. Everybody's going, "God, I can't stand that guy, man. Why'd you have to bring him around? This guy's a loser." But I would not doubt that either side of that story. Russian intelligence is always Russian propaganda. But I do believe that they realize they've got to remove this guy. He's trouble. He's been trouble. And it's nothing. There's nothing they can do with that guy but have more trouble. And I would suspect. How about this story? Now, I don't know if this is 1819 News in Alabama. And I don't know if you've ever followed Bruce Pearl's career as a basketball coach. He was at University of Tennessee, got in some trouble up there and had to leave. And he's been at Auburn University for a while. He's done very well with them. Well, if you don't know this, Bruce Pearl is Jewish. And I give him credit. He tries to educate his players, and he takes players on trips to Israel. He just tries to educate them about all the history of the area and what's going on and all that. And I've listened to the guy speak on this several times. I'm not a Bruce Pearl basketball coach fan, but I do respect him that he's trying to take young men who've never been more than probably 50 miles from their home and take them across the world. He has to convince all these parents it's a good idea. And he's made many of these trips. And they always come out, I get there's people out there that hate Israel, but listen, it's a very old historic area. And, he wants them to see all that, the Christian part, the Jewish part, understand what they, what the living conditions are like and what the terrorism and all that stuff. And they've had rockets come in while they've been there before. So it kind of wakes these young men up who just play basketball. It wakes them up to the bigger world. And I think that's important. So anyway, what he says on this, what he says in this piece is, he's very outspoken. Bruce Pearl, but he says you gave billions to Iran and Hamas, and he accuses Obama of creating the mess in Gaza. Auburn basketball coach Bruce Pearl. You can get this at 1819 News. That's a good conservative Alabama news internet news source. And I subscribe to them. But anyway, Bruce Pearl recently took former President Barack Obama to task for calling on Israel to stop its military operations in Gaza amid its ongoing war with Hamas. In post on X, Obama urged for immediate action to be taken to prevent Gazans from starving as the war rages on, leaking the New York Times articles highlighting the lack of available food and water in Gaza. Quote, while a lasting resolution to the crisis in Gaza must involve a return of all hostages and cessation of Israel's military operations, these articles underscore the immediate need for action to be taken to prevent the travesty of innocent people dying of preventable starvation, Obama wrote on Sunday. He added, aid must be permitted to reach people in Gaza. There is no justification for keeping food and water away from civilian families. I wish he would come to bat like that for people here in America. That's a whole other story. Pearl, who has been outspoken in support of Israel as a Jewish American, responded to the former president by pointing out that he had created this mess and questioned why he wasn't calling on Hamas to release hostages and end the war. He says, you gave billions to Iran and Hamas creating this mess, and not one word from you calling for them to release the hostages, surrender, and end the war. Tell Hamas to, number one, quit stealing and reselling aid. Number two, stop attacking GHF workers who are feeding Gazans. Number three, leave and end suffering, the coach wrote. So, you know, in this case, and I'm not usually a person that likes for the athletes to get too involved in some of these things because they kind of show their ignorance. He is, you know, and I realize he's looking at from his side as a Jewish American, but he's not ignorant to the, you know, things that are going on. He recognizes that. And a whole nother story, there's sources out there that believe that the hardliners in Israel are pushing Netanyahu to take the whole land back over, all of Gaza. And, you know, President has said his number one goal is feeding those people there. And I don't know, but that has, you know, that leaked out before that potentially we were talking about, you know, and the president spoke on it, you know, building things there, kind of, you know, overseeing the reconstruction. And, you know, the people in Somalia or whatever that was talking about deals being cut for Palestinians to be flown there. It was, you know, it was ugly. They denied it, and it kind of quieted down to the point you don't even hear nothing about it. They said money would change hands and some guarantees for loans and stuff like that. It's an ugly situation, no matter what side you're on. That's the truth. I think everybody can see that. And yes, Hamas steals and Hamas kills and they hold hostage, and you can't, whoever is going to be there, whether it's Israel, whether it's some Palestinian, you know, entity, or if it's international or whatever, Hamas cannot be a part of it. They're sworn enemies of Israel. They have sworn to destroy them, and they've not been destroyed themselves. But they, you know, they're a terror agent, and that's all they ever will be. They're not peace. And you can say, if you want to say about Israel and what they're doing, fine, but don't throw Hamas up at me as like there's some kind of country club. These people are evil. And anyway, the story is interesting to me because Bruce Pearl is actually, and this is, I think, amazing because typically Jewish people vote very liberal. And the fact that you have this shift that's going on of a lot of Jewish Americans and who are starting to turn and vote a little more, you know, center of the road, maybe even on the right side of that, because they're frustrated about what they see out of their leaders. And this has never really been questioned before. They've always just kind of towed the line. But there are some conservative Jewish people, I know them, but most of them vote very liberally and have always given great, you know, big amounts of money into, yes, a lot of politicians' pockets to keep things flowing their way. Yes, that's true. But a lot of that was liberal. And even though the relationship between Democrats and Israel is not great, they like that money, and they got their pockets being filled as well. So we will see. But Bruce Pearl stepping out and letting his voice be heard. So you go. From the Gateway Pundit, an article, Trump calls for investigating Nancy Pelosi's insider stock trading. Yay! I love that. Pelosi became rich by having inside information. She ought to be investigated. This is from Jordan Conradson and was released today, this afternoon. President Trump took questions from reporters during a congressional bill signing ceremony today, and he responded to new legislation that would bar members of Congress from trading stocks. The president signed a bill to reform VA home loans. This comes after Senator Josh Hawley, Republican Missouri, introduced his Preventing Elective leaders from owning securities and investments, Pelosi Act, aptly named after the multi-millionaire inside trader and former House Speaker. When asked if he supports the bill, which will ban members of Congress, the president and the vice president from owning and trading stocks, Trump said, "I like it conceptually," before tearing into Pelosi and her husband, Paul Pelosi. Quote, "She made a fortune with her husband, and I think that's disgraceful," the president said, before calling for an investigation. And what I do think is Nancy Pelosi should be investigated because she has the highest return of anybody practically in the history of Wall Street, save a few, he said. And how did that happen? It happened by she knows exactly what's going to happen. What's going to be announced. She buys stock, and then the stock goes up after the announcement. You can go on and read the rest of that story at the Gateway Pundit if you would like. Calling it out, boy, the war of words continues. I'm glad. I love it. You know what? There's no way that you can be that lucky, or whatever you want to call it. No way. She absolutely always comes out ahead. Always. That's not the way that works. So the president, this last few days, he has really thrown the daggers out. I'm telling you, more than ever. Hey, don't forget, we're Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile, make the switch today. Promo code Cornbread, and you'll be supporting America First company who is a faithful company who uses not foreign companies to do their customer service. They do it right here in the good state of Texas. I've used them. I've used that customer service. Rob has used it. He's concurred. These are great people, and they do awesome things. Appreciate their their stance. I have been nothing but pleased, and you'll get a great deal too. And they use 3 major carriers. You can switch between the 3 too, depending on where you're at and what you need. So there's some programs in there that you can also make some credits and money to pay on your bill, or to get a new phone. And they're announcing stuff continually. So this is a company that is in it for the long haul. And they've been doing it for 13 years, and love those folks, and they're awesome, and we are proud to be a part of Patriot Mobile. And don't forget the SFP coffees and at our Shopify store, and love the coffee. Ben Rob has been very well pleased with the coffee, and we love coffee. You know what? We just love coffee, and we wanted our name on some coffee, and we finally got it. It's been a big dream. Let's continue on. And I tell you what, actually, let me run this little ad for ARA that I ran this morning, because if you're in the area, and a lot of you may not be, but you know what, we love ARA, and I love these folks, and we try to help them out in their rescues and stuff for dogs and kitty cats, and they sent us some information, and I'm going to share that. I'll be right back. Hey everybody, it's Dave the AM, aka the Cornbread Man. You know, we have been partnered up with Animal Rescue Alliance, ARA, for a good long time. And we've tried to feature them as often as we can. And when they submit information about special needs or special promotions or just adoptions in general, we try to help with that. And they've asked us to highlight some kittens that they have. And so I want to first of all give you the message that we were sent. Then we're going to show you some of the kittens that they do offer. Animal Rescue Alliance Inc. has just the right kitty for you. They have cats and kittens of every age with all kinds of different personalities. There are cats that like to play, cats that want to nap with you, and cats that are world-class snugglers. All right. All the adult cats have been spayed or neutered and treated for fleas, worms, and ear mites. They are fully vaccinated and ready to go home with you. There are also kittens of every age that are available as foster to adopt. That means they can go home with you now, but they must return to the rescue for their scheduled vaccinations and then their spay-neuter surgery when they reach 4 months. If you're undecided about whether a cat is right for you, they offer a foster program model where you can take a cat home to see if it's a good fit. If so, they'll process the adoption, and if not, the cat can be returned. Stop by ARA, located at 2645 Georgia 91 South in Donaldsonville, and meet all the friendly kitties. Volunteers are welcome and very needed too. ARA is open to the public Wednesday through Saturday from 10 to 4. They are a registered 501c3 organization, and all donations are tax deductible. All right, now let's look at the kitties that they have sent to us. We have Jericho, Maribel, Cutie Pie, Pilot, Saint, Tangerine, Carol Brady. What a name. Rudy, Tulip, and Grace. So there you are, the 10 notorious cats that you can adopt. So if you're in the area or you're going to travel into the area of Donaldsonville, Georgia, there you go. And so we like to help those folks out. If you're not able to take a cat at this time, make a donation. They would appreciate that too. You can do that through their website, and they'll use PayPal. I've done it before. It's very easy. Or if you're in the area, drop supplies off. They can use those too. That's your pet of the week or pets of the week for the kitties. We appreciate ARA sending us the information, and help them out if you can. It's Dave in the AM, Southern Fried Podcast. We'll see you soon. All right, we're back. And for those on Podbean, we did not run the ad, so we ran music. So if you're wondering, I didn't load that in there. So I'll do that next time. Some things I've still got to load into Podbean. So you got music instead. I like the little song, though. Great folks at ARA, and we got to get back at it and promoting these dogs and cats. And they're great. We had a great and fun time with them. I appreciate them and what they do so very much. All right, let's move along. How about this stuff? I'm telling you what. Well, let's. I'm going to skip ahead on one that I had in line. I'm going to go ahead. I want to this group called Biometric. They have some interesting things to say about AI, and I wanted to come back to that and talk about it just for a minute, and what they believe that AI is doing right now. And you can go to their webpage and look at this. But Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, he denounces voice and face biometrics, prophecies intelligence too cheap to meter. He said AI has fully defeated most of the ways that people authenticate. Having found a few sympathetic ears, just few sympathetic ears among privacy regulators with his World ID project, Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, has turned his attention to bankers, cranking up the rhetoric to plant the seed for his proof of personhood, POP, pitch. In a fireside chat during a banking regulatory conference hosted by the U.S. Federal Reserve, look at this, Matt. Look at this action right here now. Altman sets out to quickly explain how AI is improving and being adopted by scientists, computer programmers, and other humans who are apparently not yet living life to its full potential. Paraphrasing an idiom about nuclear power, Altman promises, quote, intelligence too cheap to meter, end quote, as his AI project scales and scales. He said the speed at which AI progresses will continue is still unappreciated. He ponders whether the AI he has wrought is a more impressive technological leap than the internet. He notes that it will take a little while to develop an effective full humanoid robot slave. It is hardly surprising that Altman, who is still chasing a way to make OpenAI and its flagship product, ChatGPT, profitable, is so high on his own product. This is the classic Silicon Valley strategy. Adopt a confidence in the benefits of your product that borders on the psychotic. Then evangelize to whomever will listen about its transformational potential until it becomes inevitable. Much of Meta's Mark Zuckerberg sold the idea that Facebook could make people more connected. Sam Altman is selling the idea that AI can make you more human. God help us. At the same time, but at a different booth, he is selling the idea that AI will make it impossible to know who is human and who is not, and is picking up the narrative of an imminent AI-driven fraud crisis so vast as to be existential. A thing that terrifies me, he said, is apparently there are some financial institutions that will accept the voice print as authentication. That is a crazy thing to still be doing, like AI has fully defeated that. Of course, as much as Altman speaks in religious terms of the large language model he peddles, he also needs us to know that the only authentication method that is of any use now is the one that, of course, he has developed. AI has fully defeated most of the ways that people authenticate. All these fancy take a selfie, wave, or do your voice or whatever. I'm very nervous that we have a significant impending fraud crisis. Face biometrics are out. Voice biometrics are bunk. AI is ascendant and must be its own solution into the world network, which duplicates using his iris or eye biometrics, then authenticates with a blockchain-based digital ID. A particularly revealing moment is when Altman is asked about students using ChatGPT to complete their work. He tells the story of a late grandfather he never met who freaked out the first time he saw a calculator and compares it to his own response when Google was introduced during junior high, thus using retroactive examples to make the still fresh ChatGPT seem inevitable. He proposes that his AI bot will open up new frontiers in human development. The story is familiar. A Silicon Valley savant with some great code and a Messiah complex comes forth to tell the world how much it wants what he has to sell. Indeed, how the world cannot possibly live without it. When he preaches his gospel to regulators, they call on his assumptions, repeatedly pointing out requirements around consent and disclosure in issuing suspension orders. Among those in attendance at the Federal Reserve, the first gentleman to ask a question about AI wonders what Altman has to say to the people who are worried that it's going to be picking up patterns and making decisions on things we wouldn't want it to do. Altman, who is a partner in startup accelerator Y Combinator, founded OpenAI with Elon Musk, and Peter Thiel has been named one of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time Magazine, and has just spent 30 minutes telling the room of all the wonderful things AI can do and how it will change their lives. Responds, "This is deeply outside my area of expertise." Well, if it can do what it does already, it can also defeat the eye, right? And so come on. Michael says, we had face biometrics for time clock when I was working. If you trimmed your beard or hair, it would not recognize you. Or if you change glasses, I don't trust AI. Well, it's just supposed to be the eye, but if it can defeat everything else, couldn't it also manipulate? Couldn't that be defeated too? I mean, couldn't it do whatever? I mean, do we have a legion of robots that's going to come out soon from Elon or others? Some Frankenstein scientist, a bunch of robots coming out that are dress and talk and move and all that stuff, and we can't tell the difference? I think not yet, but it is interesting. These people are not going to stop. Of course he's sounding the alarm because he wants to corner the market. All of them are a bunch of crazy, demon-filled world dictator wannabes by using technology and get filthy rich doing it. I don't trust them, and I don't trust their daggum AI either. AI is used, yes, and AI is now getting more and more a part of companies. There are meetings going on right now how AI can help your human resources department, or how AI can help you this or that. There are other more expensive ones that a lot of people use that are supposed to be much better. But I find AI on the levels that most of them been released to not be, they don't learn like they do. Maybe they do at the higher levels, but the AI that I've been exposed to does not pick up and learn from those things like they are saying. But anytime you've got the Federal Reserve involved, I mean, like we really trust them, and you've got these bankers from around the world, and they're talking about, who's going to control the world. That's what they're talking about, and how they're going to do it, and what technology are they going to use. Well, I know that, Michael, but his technology is just the eye. It's not. They use facial recognition technology now. I mean, all over. Police forces use it. Stadiums use it to look for people that's been banned or whatever. I mean, it's used all over. But this is just the eye. It's like that Terminator thing or something, Hey, Redneck Rambler, thanks for coming in the show. I'm not even just a bot on loose making you I appreciate it, man. Yeah, and for us older folks, we go back to the days, is it live or is it Memorex? The young people today wouldn't get that. but I perfectly remember it. And we were trying to pick out, okay, what's the live and what's from the Memorex. What's funny is they're both recorded. When you're hearing that, that's the funny thing about it. But I thought it was interesting to jump over there and look at what these Frankenstein creators are, quibbling over. Oh, yeah. How are we going to control the world? Who's going to be the lead person to do that? Good Lord. Townhall.com. I like to go there. I like some of their writing. But I went here because I wanted to follow up on this genocide that's going on in Syria. Yeah, you had clocks that read your dominant hand. I get you, Michael. Thank you for the like there, Redneck Rambler. This column by Jordan Sekalo, and you've heard of him with the ACLJ. He said that their connections on the ground in Syria are painting a devastating picture of what is actually happening under Ahmad al-Sharia's leadership, or Shari's. More than 1,300 civilians have been killed in recent sectarian violence, including Druze, Alawites, Christians, and other religious minorities. Entire families have been massacred while survivors have been forced to flee their homes. Among the victims was Pastor Mazer, murdered along with 20 members of his family, including children, parents, and siblings. He said, we're taking actions to consider joining by signing our petition. They've got a petition going on. Help us prompt the international community to action. They're working with Reverend Majed El Shafi, a courageous survivor of religious persecutions in Egypt following his conversion to Christianity. Reverend El Shafi has been working on the ground in the Middle East and Syria and has witnessed firsthand the atrocities being committed. El Shafi's organization, One Free World International, which has previously rescued individuals from ISIS, including women and children, has conducted extensive research and fact-finding missions that reveal a bleak reality. His detailed reports include firsthand evidence of intense human suffering and video interviews with Christian leaders in the region who are living under constant threat. These reports document systematic persecution that directly contradicts the Syrian government's public statements about protecting religious freedom. Of course they're lying. This represents only the first layer of evidence gathered on the ground in Syria. Additional findings exist that cannot be publicly disclosed at this time. These reports go far beyond the headlines of the past month and include a suicide bombing that targeted a Greek Orthodox church murdering at least 22 Christians, and a brutal act of terror and a jihadist assault on a Druze community in which a U.S. citizen from Oklahoma was killed. The evidence we've uncovered paints an even more harrowing picture, one that underscores the rapid and deadly escalation of sectarian violence under Syria's new regime. So just a couple more things here. These people are not, they're not our friends, and they're just trying to play nice to get help and be left alone and all that. But this Ahmad al-Shari was previously known as Abu Muhammad al-Julani, an al-Qaeda terrorist who has a troubling history that contradicts his current moderate image. Sent by al-Qaeda in Iraq in late 2011, he established Jabhat al-Nusra, which quickly gained notoriety for kidnappings, bombings, and terrorist activities that killed significant numbers of civilians throughout Syria. The group earned terrorist designations from the UN and the U.S., among other nations, with the U.S. pledging a $10 million bounty on al-Julani. Al-Julani saw his opportunity after the war with Israel weakened Assad's Russian and Iranian-backed support. On November 27, 2024, al-Julani's forces launched a surprise offensive from his southern base toward the Syrian capital, reaching Damascus in less than 2 weeks. By December 8, 2024, Assad had fled to Russia, and al-Julani declared himself president of Syria. This guy is evil, and the world needs to pay attention. So I know we're aware of it because we've been covering it, and you folks are know that score. But I'm glad to see that people are beating the news down to let people know that, hey, there's some bad stuff going on. Another quick couple of articles in the time we have left. The New York Times. This is a Newsmax article that missed the Gaza boy famine photo. A hoax. This boy had he suffered from cerebral palsy, and they put it around the world. The Times admitted that Muhammad suffers from pre-existing health problems and claimed that he had learned new information about him in the editorial statement released on X. We have apprehended an editor's note to a story about Muhammad Zakari al-Tawag, Mutawak, a child in Gaza who was diagnosed with severe malnutrition. After publication, the Times learned that he also has pre-existing health problems. Of course, they ran that story without fully vetting it. We don't trust you, New York Times, and I'm glad that you're getting smoked over that story because you know what? It's not the first time, and it probably won't be the last. Over on Breitbart, Scott Bessent spoke to Breitbart News, and he broke down how official inflation numbers understate the economic pain felt by working class Americans, pointing to steep price hikes in essentials like rent, used cars, and insurance under Biden, and laying out how the Trump administration plans to reverse the damage. Bessent called Donald Trump the most transformative political figure of the century and said in a policy event with Breitbart News that Trump's first term delivered real wage gains for working Americans. The reason he won is because the bottom 50% of working class Americans got crushed. Bessent remarked, if you go by the standard inflation numbers, PCE, CPI, during the Biden years, inflation was about 18 to 21%. Reported wages were about 3% below that. But that isn't the real story, Bessent explained, because working class Americans have a different basket of goods and services than everyone in this room. They're dependent on used cars, insurance, rent. They don't have assets, so they probably experienced inflation between 32 and 35%, which with wage growth at only 16%, they had a gigantic loss of purchasing power. Hey, later, Michael. Sorry you're feeling bad, buddy. Get feeling better. Bessent outlined the administration's plan to fix the affordability crisis, highlighting two goals. Number one, bring down inflation, which has already shown signs of improvement. In May, we had the best inflation numbers in 4 years, he noted. Number two, raising real wages. Just like during Trump's first term, hourly workers did better than supervisory workers, he stated. The bottom 50% of household net worth went up more than the top 10%. It was great for working Americans, and we certainly need those things to happen. And it has been a struggle, and I think that everybody can understand that. So, very, very, just a lot of news from across the spectrum. Appreciate you being here. We're going to finish up. That'll be all the news I'm going to dive into. Thank you for coming in and giving a chat. There is so much going on because we didn't talk about the tsunami, the volcano, that Russia. There's all this that's going on. This is all over the news. Of course, the investigation into the killer at the NFL headquarters and other crimes out there around the country. I pray for these people that were caught in the crossfire, the injured, died, their families. And let's just pray for those officers. I was an officer and security guard. Both were hit and and taken out. And we've got to we got to be on the lookout for stuff like that. These and we've got to we got to open up some mental health places and get some of these people off the street. This guy was known to have problems. They're walking among us, folks, and a lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them. This is not a shot at people with mental problems, but severe mental illness and mixed with drugs that are mind-altering, and they hear voices and all kinds of things. That's on the best of days. I mean, that's if they stay on, that's a major side effect. Some of them on 2 and 3 medications. If you go look at all the mass murders of the last few years, it's shocking, or not so shocking, of how many of them were on these psychotic medications and either just using them. They heard voices, or they overprescribed or underprescribed themselves, or just quit. And at that point, it was full on. It was like a soldier getting his marching orders, go kill. And it's not all of them, but there's a significant number. It's really high of how many had that going on. And this is not a shot at people that need to take some things. It's just saying it's of a truth that these things do happen, and we need to be looking at that. There needs to be investigations into it. And yes, there are some people that just can't be out among us if they're violent. If they're until we can get them better. If we can't, they got to stay locked up. And I know that's a slippery slope because I worry about what dictators and socialists, and they'd come after MAGA and people like that. That's a fear. But truthfully, we've got to stop people that are violent like that from being able to have just walk the streets among us and become operational. I mean, that's what happens. They just become operational, and they go into combat mode, and they have no plans of backing off. Kill until killed or kill themselves. And thank God, it's tragic that those died who died, but we can thank the good Lord above it wasn't a lot more. He took the wrong elevator, went to the wrong floor. Unfortunate for a couple of folks there, yes, but they could have been a lot more. So, and he's just crazy. The left will try to make this guy look like a sympathy for him, sympathetic character. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. They did the same thing in Nashville. They do the same thing all over the place. It's not our fault. These people are evil. They got something bad going on, and they're doing evil acts, and we can't have it. And that's without AI. We talk about AI. That's without AI. That's just crazy eye. And a lot of them have crazy eyes. Well, all right. That's the Cornbread Man, Dave in the AM, a.k.a. the Cornbread, the MAGA Report. We'll be back on at 8 for Hunt Day Views. We're supposed to have some guests, I hope, and also our Southern Fried Vent in the 9 o'clock hour. Tune in if you can. And we appreciate you. Thank you, Redneck Rambler, for being here. And all of you, Killer Carr, Michael, Broski, others that are just watching. And if I didn't see your names, I'm sorry. Sometimes I get caught. Pete over on Instagram, thank you for being here. I'm trying to, sometimes I don't have enough screen space. And Sigma, thank you for being there. Sorry I missed yours. You worked in a state hospital for 18 years. And most of the patients belong there. Yeah, you're right. Still do. And it's just those SSRs are the worst for the psychosis. That's the common drug used by the mass shooters. Thank you for that. It just is what it is. I mean, there's just some people. I talked to a guy that was a security guard at the one that's in our town, or near where I live. And he told me stories, and he got out of it because it was just so, even getting them inside the place was, he said it was full on battle. And he said there's very few that needed to be out of the streets that got better. He said most of them, they would spend the rest of their lives there. Yes, sir. Sigma, you are right. Prozac, Zoloft, et cetera, others like them. There is a major side effect to some of those things. And if you look at what the scale, we need to pull the records on that. They don't ever like to talk about it, but if you look at if you can pull like 30 of the last mass shooters, more than 3 or whatever, I think it's 3 or more, and you look, and when they do the investigation and that's reported in there, they don't highlight it real high, but it's there. And there's people that's done that, and you can get lists, and they will tell you it's very high. I don't remember this percentage, so I don't want to give a number that I'm not particularly comfortable right now giving, because I could be wrong, probably would be, but it's alarming. It's absolutely alarming. All right, we're out, and we'll be back. I get off here and get the other show ready, and thank you so much. God bless you. Salute, and we'll go out with some music, and we'll switch it around. I'll play the Cornbread song. Yeah, that's my morning show song, but I like it. Take care.
Up all night. does it hurt?